Let's go into the tour funding. This is a simple pie chart of how the overall funding for the tour ended up getting laid out. So obviously, if you look kind of on the upper right-hand quadrant of the circle, you'll see all of the little minuscule things in terms of just general percentages of how the money actually got spent. The networking, the distribution, the copyright and licensing, the transcription, the account maintenance, the food and gas, just basic supplies. That was a really small percentage overall of the overall cost of how much it actually cost me to put this project out. Okay, about 15% of the budget was spent on promotion. So things like Facebook ads, things like the artwork for the CD, things like the clothes that I bought for the photo shoot that I put as a part of the promotion, because obviously, like, if I'm putting out an image of myself, I need to have something that I look nice in. Does that make sense? So I chose to put that in the promotional side of things. Any kind of like a membership with a certain platform to like try and help launch the brand further, I put it underneath promotion. So that was about 15% of the budget. Just shy of about 17% of the budget was transportation. And when we left Lansing, the van, there was literally no room. Like, it was my children and Morier and all of my gear, all of my supplies, and like literally no one could move. Like, it was packed. And so we packed up our van. I drove them to my in-laws' house, and I dropped Morier and the boys off. And then that eliminated, quite frankly, about 2/3 of the luggage, essentially, from the van. And then I went on to the Twin Cities myself. So there was maintenance that I had to get my van dealt with so that it could handle that. There was gasoline that I had to take care of. There was a car that I had to rent because Morier was singing in the album release concert, which wasn't the first gig on the tour. So I had to start the tour in Minneapolis by myself and then get Morier to the Twin Cities at a later time. So we had to rent a car, so that was a part of the cost, the gas for that vehicle, insurance and all that kind of stuff. So that was just shy of 17% of the overall budget was that. Just under 19% of the budget was spent on contractual musicians. So again, I hired a band with some horns and some string players and the musical director, and I paid great money for them to be able to be there because they're all professionals, they're all working musicians in the area, and I wanted to establish great relationships with those people, even ongoing. So I wanted to pay them, and that was a priority to me. So I paid a good amount of money for that. And then the largest portion of the overall tour funding actually was the album itself. Yes?
Not trying to be nosy when you say you pay a good amount. Did you like do scale wages or something like that?
What I did is I paid basic flat union rates for the musicians. That's what I did.
Flat union rates, right?
Yep. And Peter and I went to undergrad together. He played at my wedding. I've sang with him for years. I mean, we're friends. We're brothers. And so,
That makes a difference.
yeah, that he was very generous
Right.
as far as his flexibility with the budget.
But most musicians, you mentioned him, you single him out.
Yeah, Peter got the most amount of money because he didn't just play for the gig. Like, he organized and led the rehearsals on my behalf when I was not in the Twin Cities. So I paid him a little bit extra money to do the MD stuff.
So you were able to do more too because of friendship. And
Yes.
Yes. You both got
Yes.
a lot from this.
Yes, and I'll just be honest with you, like I wouldn't have been able to pay what I paid him or even pay George, because I didn't pay George what he's worth fully, if that friendship had not been there.
Right. You couldn't have these guys, their quality.
That's right.
Yes,
And Peter, I've known for 20 years. I mean, we went to undergrad together.
Right.
So look around the room. I mean, these cats that you're with right now, like
These are your guys.
these are your guys.
Relationship
Yeah, I mean, these are people that you're going to know and have relationship with and be playing with years from now. You know what I mean? So honestly, if I can give you just an Uncle Curtis encouragement, treat each other well now, because you never know who you're going to be working with in the future. You just never know. So just shy of 19% was the total budget that was absorbed for the musicians that played one gig. So it was a cost that I incurred for one gig, and it was an expensive one. But I wanted to put out a great concert that was the album release concert, and I wanted it to be live, and I wanted it to represent the album because we had live horns and strings and a full rhythm section on the album, and I wanted that to be represented. So that was a choice that I made. The last largest portion of the budget, of course, was spent on the album production itself, which was everything from George to the contractual honorariums that I offered to the tracking musicians and, I'm sorry? The studio musicians, yeah. Anyone who did session work and photography and any kind of design things got paid. So that was all underneath the album. And again, because of friendships and professional relationships, like, you know, Erin didn't get what she's worth, but she got something, you know what I mean? So the same thing with everybody. So all that said, like, I wanted to have a very professional product and a professional image that I put out as my brand. I wanted that. And so I paid for it, okay? But I also paid for it not just with cash, but with time and spent and rapport and relationships. Do you know what I'm saying? Because no one would have wanted to be a part of it had they not trusted and respected me. You know what I mean? So that it wasn't just the cash, it was also the relationship and the rapport. So that's just kind of a breakdown of how the tour actually was funded and what it actually looked like.